Hey, the Rockets are fun to talk about. So I'm gonna make a video on it. The video started right now. You've already seen the intro. Okay, let's talk about the Rockets. Let's talk about the Rockets because they're my favorite team. And I am so happy that they are not relevant. I know that. Trust me, I'm not going to take this too far. I know they're not relevant. I know that they're not going to make the playoffs. And I know they're going to most likely have a top 3 seed. But when you go on a 16-game losing streak, you post a video about it, ranting, calling for Stephen Silas's job, and you go into a long NBA depression where you don't talk about the NBA and you kind of just block it out because your team is so bad and they can't even score 100 points and you have Daniel Theis as your starting center. It was not fun. I didn't know, I do not know how Kenny and Rusty Buckets for years after watching Denzel Valentine chuck up threes and brick them and lose to embarrassing teams every night and never having national television ever focused on them. I don't know how they did it because I was in a terrible mood every time someone mentioned the Rockets. And if you didn't know, I am from Houston. I've grown up a huge Rockets fan, and as a Rockets fan, my grammar's doing terrible today, but I've always seen greatness. I've started watching basketball since James Harden was on the team, a little bit with McGrady, and I saw the Lakers, and then I was there for the dark times of having a few lottery picks, and then all of a sudden James Harden came on the team and everything changed. It's almost like the intro for Avatar: The Last Airbender. The Fire Nation attacked it and everything changed. And for the past decade, really, I have been a supporter of James Harden. And my basketball team, who doesn't have James Harden, beat the basketball team that has James Harden. As simple as that. And I wanted to wait till they lost this win streak to post a video like this because I didn't want to jinx it, to be honest. I was so happy during this win streak, and I don't expect them to go on another win streak like this for the rest of the year. I probably expect them to get blown out by the Grizzlies, and because they're playing on a back-to-back, they played competitive against the Bucks. And today, this video is really just to talk about why things have changed and who are these players you might want to know. And if you are curious on why are the Rockets the first team ever to go on a 16-game losing streak and have a 7-game winning streak in the same year for all sports, at all of the 4 major sports in America, this has never happened. So this is an anomaly. This is on the edge of the bell curve. Why is this happening? Well, it's because of Gary Bird and no Daniel Theis. Can we all do a round of applause for no Daniel Theis in the lineup? Honestly, I don't mind him as a backup role, but he should not have been starting. And I still am very critical on Stephen Silas on why was this man starting? Genuinely, I don't know. Do you know? Does anyone know? Because as much as Christian Wood kind of plays like a power forward, his natural position is center in this league. And I need to start this with because the first narrative that built from this win streak, there was a lot of things that grew from this win streak. It's a small one, and it's going to be for a team that doesn't matter, but it's my team, so I care. But Jalen Green would make this team better, and they would not have lost games because of him, because they haven't been losing games because of him. You could say whatever you'd like about his plus minus and having the worst plus minus of a rookie of all time, right? Then that's not a good stat. But at the same time, if you go and look at the research and see that every lineup that he has a very deep negative plus minus, and plus minus for people who don't know, it's basically a kind of a simple stat to look at if you want to see if you're benefiting your team or you're making your team worse when you're on the floor. But you have to compare that with other stats to really kind of not just use it as a sole stat. And every lineup that he has a negative one, it had Daniel Theis in the starting lineup with Christian Wood. And the problem with that is Christian Wood, as much as he is a decent three-point shooter, he is also a guy that is very physical, very athletic. He wants to get in the post. He wants to dominate on the inside. And Daniel Theis is not a shooter at all, so he has to stay on the inside. there's a lot of clogging of the paint for an athletic guard who wants to crash and always get easy looks at the rim. And also, at the same time, Jalen Green can get a three-point shot going. The problem is, if he's starting at a three ball or mid-ranges and he's never getting these easy layups, he's not able to warm up, he's not able to get into a rhythm, and that's been the biggest problem with Jalen Green this year, I feel, is his substitutions have been kind of inconsistent. He hasn't really been able to get into a rhythm. There's times that he'll get the ball a couple times on some screen off actions, and there's a lot of times that he would only get the ball from a screen from Daniel Theis or Christian Wood, but still at the same time he couldn't really get any space. And it's shown that when he does get space, he's one of the best players in the league, or best young players in the league. I wouldn't say best players in the league in general. I don't want to over exaggerate. He still has struggled shooting consistently, but at the same time, I don't think he's had the opportunity of the same spacing as a lot of these guys like Jae'sean Tate, like Eric Gordon, like Armani Brooks, like Gary Bird. And I will not say Garrison Matthews because his name is Gary Bird, I promise you. But another guy we need to talk about is arent Sengun. If you don't know this guy's name, you gotta learn it, get used to it, because he is so much fun to watch. I watched him play the Bucks last night, and if you didn't know, the Rockets lost to the Bucks, and it ended their win streak, and they didn't play terribly. It was a close game up to the end, and where I feel that this is the problem for the Rockets is this is a nice supporting cast for a player if they wanted to come in as a superstar. And sometimes you could play your best against a good team. The Bucks weren't playing bad, but sometimes those superstars are superstars for a reason, and they take over. I remember watching Chris Middleton pull up Hezzy, and before he even shot it, I was like, this is one of those shots that he is a superstar for a reason. He's going to hit this and drain, down 7, game's over, under a minute, right? But they were in there for a long time. And a lot of it's for Garrison Matthews. If you don't know who he is, I know I'm about to talk about Sengun. Don't worry. I know I teased a little bit about talking about Sengun, but I'm just going on a rant here. I don't have a script like I usually do for many of these videos. But Garrison Matthews, a guy that was waived from the Wizards, know him. He's averaging, I think, 18 right now on 47% from 3 on 9 shots a game, 8.6. I'm rounding up, but I just want to be transparent here. And he's been like incredible defensively. He clamped up on Harden in the last minute of the Nets Rockets game where it really caught people's eye that they beat a really, really good team. And the wild thing about this win streak, it hasn't been against bottom feeders the entire time. It started off against the Bulls. It started with the Hornets. They beat the Nets. Like I'm telling you, a lot of it has been on these East teams, and they've been winning definitively, and it's been through great defense, great passing, and no KPJ or no Jalen Green. And if you really think that these guys will make them worse, I'm telling you, you're wrong. These guys would just add another dimension, another threat. I think KPJ could be a little turnover prone, but I think with the spacing that he's been given, he's been able to facilitate a lot more. Jalen Green would benefit from the same thing. It wouldn't be so reliant on Eric Gordon, who could be a trade asset for a guy. I think Eric Gordon should go to the Lakers. I think he'd be an amazing fit with the Lakers. A three-point shooter that can play some defense, that would be perfect. But we need to talk about Sengun. I could talk about Jae'Sean Tate, who I may make a video on how a bunch of teams missed out on a fantastic player, and I pray that the Rockets do not get rid of Jae'Sean Tate anytime soon. His 30-point bucket against the Thunder has been fantastic. But back to Sengun, an 18-year-old Turkish MVP, bullying DeMarcus Cousins and dominating off the glass. Who wouldn't like this kid? He crossed up DeMarcus. I know DeMarcus Cousins is washed. I'm not trying to act like he's Pelicans or Kings DeMarcus Cousins, but crossed him up. I need to let me feel happy for this team that has just struggled for the past 2 years, right? Sengun, fantastic. Josh Christopher, fantastic. And Sengun, he is a guy that had his career high last night, and he had only 16 minutes. People were talking on Twitter a little wild. I don't think he's on Evan Mobley's level. He is the rookie there, and he's been fantastic this year. And I am a huge Evan Mobley fan, and he's doing so good for the Cavs. I think he's also in a really good situation as well, which was unexpected. I'm not saying I was expecting him to go to a good situation, but the Cavs have blossomed, and they are definitely going to get their own little breakdown. But arent Sengun, if he gets more minutes and he slowly develops in a role, I think the only reason why they're starting him is because he kind of would have a Daniel Theis effect with Christian Wood. I haven't really looked at the stats of that lineup yet, but he's working on that three-point shot. I saw him pulling from range in the warm-up, so it's clear that he's trying to develop that side of the game, and he is a competitor. I didn't really expect that from him. Sometimes you see from some of these European guys coming out of the draft, especially in the later rounds, they can be kind of timid, being physical sometimes. Like we saw Kristaps for the longest, wasn't super physical after the ACL tear, really. But he is a competitor, man, and he is flashy. He once a game, when he gets in and gets some real minutes, he makes a play a game where it just makes your jaw drop to the floor, and he just, like, Rockets Twitter hypes him up to a high degree, and I don't blame him. And another player you need to talk about is Armani Brooks, who is a sniper who has been a burst of life coming off the bench, sometimes in the starter role, and he's a shooter. The thing is all this spacing has allowed a lot of these shooters to really dominate and allow the guys that are good on the inside to bang down on the inside, like Jae'sean with his baby hook shot. If you don't know about that, that's one of his go-to moves. You have Christian Wood playing really solid. All these guys clearly have changed a lot about their team, and I hate to say it, it's Daniel Theis. Watching Daniel Theis would frustrate me. I went to that Pistons game, and there were so many times it was like non-stat, like things you don't see on the stat board that just frustrate you, and it's like, why? This doesn't fit. This doesn't work. I don't know why he was given a contract to work. Let these young guys run. We haven't even seen Usman Garuba, who's supposed to be a great defender. Josh Christopher hasn't gotten real minutes. He's only gotten minutes because of injury, and on his birthday, he went and shot 100% against the Nets. I mean, I'm sure, honestly, if you ask a Nets fan, they may want the supporting cast of the Rockets in their own team. Hot take for the video. But if you're a Rockets fan, expect a lot more losses. This is the only win streak we may go on this year. This is a great time to really evaluate these young players. If we lose again, I'm happy that we kind of lost this win streak so I could make this video, and I was so worried that this narrative would grow that Jalen Green would make things worse. It's not true. He would not make things worse. He is a closer. He's a guy that could hit that Chris Middleton shot, that fadeaway three, that closing knife in the back type of three, and KPJ would add another level of playmaking and shooting. Like he's another ball handler. Part of the reason why they couldn't finish last night is they didn't have a guy that could go up and make their own shot, and those are our two, probably one of our best make our own shot guys. But if you like the video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, letting me talk about my Rockets for the second time. You're probably going to see a lot more NBA videos coming out from me. National Signing Day is coming up. We got some NFL. We got some playoff predictions. We got so much to talk about. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.